Play those fucking air horns. The New York Mets are going to the playoffs. Walked into Atlanta, beat the Braves. We're playing the Milwaukee Brewers. Playoff baseball. They said we couldn't do it. Nobody believed at the beginning, myself included. I didn't think we were going to make the playoffs. I'll be honest. I didn't think it was going to happen. But the Mets made the postseason, going to Milwaukee, playing the Brewers again. So much to talk about. So many good vibes. Play those air horns again. I'm doing the editing, so I'll play them one more time. This is a celebration of an incredible episode. I was looking for cigars in my local bodegas around me. Couldn't find any. I was looking for champagne. Couldn't find any. I don't know what I'm going to do.
We'll save it for the DS.
We'll save it for the DS. We won't celebrate just yet fully, but we will celebrate right now. Guys, make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Going to be a lot coming at you the next few days. The Mets have 3 games the next 3 nights, as long as the series goes 3 games. If they go 2 games, whatever. There's a lot of baseball. We're dropping episodes after every single podcast.
Game.
Every single game. We're dropping episodes after every single game, so make sure you're subscribed on YouTube at the Mets'd YouTube channel. You can find it over there if you want to see our beautiful faces. If you're listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Overcast, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download and subscribe episodes after every single game. James, we just spent 6 hours watching baseball together. We ascended when the Mets made that comeback twice. What a fucking night.
Every Mets fan out there, everybody listening to this, even to everybody that's not listening to this, even just baseball fans that got to take part in the doubleheader today between the Mets and the Braves, especially the first game, you witnessed one of the most special baseball games I think anyone could have ever seen. A lot of people were talking some shit, this and that, Mets, regular season, this is the World Series, blah, blah, blah. Fuck all of you guys. The Mets they played an all-time classic game that had drama, that had comebacks, that had intrigue, that had there's the star player, the best player on the field, doing the best thing on the field, the most dramatic way possible. They had tears being shed. Champagne was popped. Edwin Diaz blowing it and then coming back and finishing it. There was so much shit that happened. So again, if you guys had the opportunity today to sit down and watch this game on Monday, that game 1 from 1:00 to 4:00, be very grateful because you watched one of the most quintessential, dramatic, and simply best Mets games they've ever played in the history of the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it at the bar. Shout out Murphy's in Astoria.
Shout out Murphy's.
Down. Great place if you're a Mets fan to go watch a Mets game. It was 1:00 on a Monday afternoon, and it was packed. It was packed with Mets fans. Only Mets fan. One Braves fan in there.
Exactly one.
Fuck them. We won. You lose. We make the playoffs. So they.
He was a nice guy.
Yeah, he was a nice guy. He's a super nice guy. He actually was not obnoxious, even in the slightest. He was so respectful, as he should be, because this is Mets territory out here in Astoria. But Murphy's Bar, I think we're going to be going there tomorrow night as well. And as long as the vibes keep
I'll be there.
We'll be at Murphy's Bar every single night as long as the Mets keep winning. But when we were at the game, we saw a couple different things. One, when the Mets made the postseason, they flashed that this was the 11th time in the Mets history that they've made the postseason. And you want to hear what's so fucked up? I told James this, I texted my dad this. So Mets have made the postseason 11 times. 1969, 1973, 1986, 1988. Those are 4 times that they made the postseason before me and you, James, were alive, born in 1996. We are technically alive during the most successful postseason stretch in New York Mets franchise history, which is so fucked up because that's 7 times in 28 years the Mets have made the postseason. And 4 or 5 of the times have been through the wild card. Like, it's just so it's so Mets'd up. Look at that. Look at that. Breaking the fourth wall. So Mets'd up that we were around during the most successful Mets period, like outside of championships. And we're so pumped that we're in the postseason. Like it's such a brand new feeling still to this day.
It is. We've said in this podcast, we've said it ourselves. Everyone said it out loud. The big goal for this Mets team this year was the postseason, and we're here. Job's not finished. We're staring at the Milwaukee Brewers. We want to end their season. We want to kick their ass. We want to send Rhys Hoskins home, sobbing tears. But this was a massive hurdle for this Mets team, this organization, this entire franchise to climb. Like, you could feel the emotional toll that the last Brave series had on this team, the fact that this core didn't really ever get to celebrate anything that happened in 2022 because they had what they called the subdued celebration in Milwaukee, which is so ironic that it was Milwaukee and Atlanta then too. Weird. We're right back Milwaukee, Atlanta, but they never really got to celebrate. They kind of just put pinkies up and like cheers one glass of champagne. Then they were beaten down by the Braves and they lost immediately to the Padres. So they never really got to give themselves a moment to appreciate and acknowledge the achievements they made that season to the point that they achieved them. So it felt like this was it just felt like this was a real, what's the word? There's a word I'm looking for here. Where you like
I mean,
you do something that you didn't think you were gonna do, and you feel like you got it out of your system. And that it's not an exorcism, but it's like that kind of same kind of word.
it felt like an exorcism though.
All right.
It was a moment that
It
was
was a
cathartic.
spiritual
It was
moment for this team.
cathartic.
Cathartic.
Cathartic?
Good word. Great word. It
SAT
was
word of the night.
to the people out there, it was emblematic of what this team has
Oh!
been all year. Emblematic of what they've been all year. Because when you think this team is down and when you thought they were out, and this team was down and out so many times this season. This team was down and out like 6 or 7 times this season. Remember the Mets were 0-5 and Pete Alonso with a home run, the 8th inning, whatever, to send that game to extra inning against Tigers.
I
And
do.
remember when Jorge Lopez threw his glove in the crowd and then we got really hot. And then a month ago, we and then Cody Saying got hurt and then we got hot again. And then Edwin Diaz blew the 2 games, and we got hot again. And then we lost the 3 games in a row this week, and then we just did this again. Like, it's just every single thing that happened, just check, 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 check. We always have a way to get back. It's just, there's so much credit to this team. This has been such a great season to watch. I'm
Dude,
so happy they're in the playoffs.
even just this game alone was so much. I mean, it was exhausting watching this game. I felt like I was going to pass out multiple times. We
Mark
had
went nonverbal for like 20 minutes after
James,
the Lindor homer.
James was asking me questions. I'm like, I'm serious. I don't really know what you're asking me. I was like, I can't intake English into my brain. I can't give anything back out. I just know that the words are being said. I'm watching baseball and I'm waiting for this game to end because when Francisco Lindor hit that home run in the 9th inning, what did I say, James? What was my instant reaction?
I don't remember. What was your
I think I said
You're
fuck.
quizzing me?
I think I said fuck. I was like, fuck, that's a pop up. I didn't think he got.
Oh, yeah. Even the ball's off the bat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did not think that he got any of it. Especially because Gary has been a little bit anxious this year with his home run calls. He was pretty subdued. He was like, ball hit to the outfield, whatever he said. And then Michael Harris, I thought Michael Harris was fucking with us because he was being a cheeky little asshole during this game. Catching fly balls with his tongue out, thinking he's Michael Jordan. You lost. Granted, they are ahead of us in the standings, but don't care. We're in the postseason. Nobody cares about the standings. Everybody's in the postseason now. But he was
No, it was nice. We were very charitable to the Braves. We allowed them to reach the postseason because we
totally.
wanted to ruin our pitching. We let them get in. So the cute little Braves got to get in on our behalf. So we thank you. You Braves fans are welcome. If any Braves fans are hate watching, we get a lot of Braves hate watch this podcast sometimes. But let's pull back a little bit. Let's like 10 minutes go
Sure.
chronologically through the game
Okay.
because this game was completely fucking insane from the get go. And before we get going into anything, I'm gonna do this. Some of you guys might yell at me. Some people get mad at me. A heap of credit has to be given to Tyler McGill for this game. It
Yes.
truly does. It does, though. It really does. Like Tyler McGill, I'm not going to tell you he pitched great.
He
I'll
didn't do
never tell you
David
that.
Peterson. He did not have a David Peterson start where you say,
No, he didn't etch himself into the record books. He
No.
did not do that. But Tyler McGill went out. He pitched into the 6th inning. I even thought he got a quick hook. I thought he should have finished that 6th inning. But he simply pitched well enough to win. And the bottom line is he pitched well enough to keep his team in the game. And that was critical because there was a moment
huge.
after the Ozzie Albies home run where the Braves had a nice little rally afterwards. And that was 4th inning. That was the 3rd inning. And you're like, oh my God, this is falling apart. I was texting my buddy Ryan. He's like, take him out right now. Take him out right now. Take him out right now. They put a couple more guys on base. There was the pass ball that Alvarez just let go right by him. It was like, this is all falling apart. But he pulled the nose up. He leveled out. Again, got into the 6th inning. Only gave the 3 earned runs. Laureano home run hurt for a second. We all forgot about that because that was brutal when in the moment, but it wound up being okay. But 8 strikeouts. The command wasn't that great, but he's just super found a way. The slider was kind of all over the place. The new 2-seamer was nice. But he did his job. He kept his team in the game. If anybody out there was expecting better than 5 2/3 innings, 3 earned runs, I don't think you've been watching Tyler McGill. You might think Tyler McGill would have been the next Jacob deGrom if you're expecting better than that, because this was probably the best case we could have gotten, and he did it. He was sitting 97, 96. He was mixing up all the pitches. It wound up being exactly what this team needed to have the dramatics and do what they could to come back late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he gave me a heart attack when he made that throw to Pete.
That was horrifying. Yeah.
Shout out Pete. Best scoops in the game. Say it all the time. Best scoops in the game. Game-saving scoop there.
Got 2 feet down like a wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, better than some guys catch it. Jonathan Mingo wishes he had the footwork of Pete Alonso. That's a really niche reference that's going to go over
Crazy.
99% of people's heads. But yeah, I mean, McGill did exactly what we needed. Like you said, kept us in the game. And because Spencer Schwellenbach is our daddy and owns this team, owns us.
Does.
I mean,
truly
we
does.
have no clue what to do. I mean, people in the bar were even like, let's take pitches. It's like, guys, he throws only strikes. He threw, I think, 20 balls out of his 100 pitches that he threw in this game. Like, he attacks the zone. The fastball is phenomenal. The slider was disgusting, as it always has. Even the changeup was working at times against lefties. He was great. And by the grace of the baseball gods, Tyrone Taylor hitting that fucking awesome double, because Tyrone Taylor is a goddamn good baseball player. We've been saying it since day one, since he was on this team. Good baseball player. That's why you listen to this Mets'd podcast right here, for those kind of takes. Tyrone Taylor in fucking January, whatever it is.
December.
Huge, huge double from him. They pull Schwellenbach, which I think, even as hindsight 2020, felt early. He was dominating. It was the bottom of the Mets order. Couldn't believe that they took Schwellenbach out there. And thank God they did, because we got all over Joe Jimenez, which was awesome to jump all over him. We tie the game up with some big hits from Alvarez and a couple other guys. And then Brandon Nimmo hits that fucking nuke of a home run. And literally, before the Lindor home run, that felt like ascension. I think I stood on top of the actual seat in the bar, and I just stood there and I just looked around like, this can't be real life right now.
No, we have a tweet from Mike Petriello that Brandon Nimmo had the longest home run try of his career by nearly 4 seconds.
He pimped
on
that shit.
home run. Yeah, he stared at it. He stared at Raisel Iglesias too, and I had a good tweet that Nimmo saw the name Iglesias and he's like, I'm gonna take the boys to church. I'm gonna double up my tour now, but that's it. And also we had the Iglesias versus Iglesias before that. The Schwellenbach dominance, I think, is getting understated because of how this game ended. Like the fact this game wound up being 8-7 when it was 2-0, 3-0 the whole way through. The Mets didn't have a base run in this game until the 4th inning when Tyrone Taylor, or one base runner through the first 4 innings, because Tyrone Taylor hit that cue shot that went foul and curved back fair like a fucking ball in the bowling alley, and the Mets did nothing with that. And then Pete got that leadoff single in the 5th. That was the 6th. That was the 6th? That was the 5th.
I don't know.
It was the 5th. That was the 5th. That was the sit, and JD had a hit single, and then everyone made out after that. But that was literally the extent of anything we did against Spencer Schwellenbach. We hit 3 singles. One of them was a hard hit ball. One was on the infield. One was a bloop by JD Martinez. He didn't walk any batters. I'm pretty positive looking back right now. And we were begging, talking to the bar the whole time, like, please get this guy out of the game any way you can. And didn't feel like it was going to happen because Schwellenbach did something. It was not that he did anything different than the last few times against the Mets, but the last few times against the Mets, he forced so many swings and misses, and we were flailing the slider over and over and over again. This time, it seemed like he was just letting us hit it. There was a lot of balls that were right down the middle, and he did that pinpoint command when he had to, but it was just ground ball, ground ball, ground ball. There weren't really any competitive balls in play, competitive swings. There was a great moment that I felt like kind of set the tone a little bit for the Mets. This was at 5th inning when the Mets had the first 2 guys on base, and Tyrone Taylor showed a bunt with man on first and second, nobody on. And Carlos Mendoza fucking screams at him from the dugout and just a clink with the hands right here says, "Hit! You're here to hit! You're here to hit!" He wound up striking out. What?
I have to interject here because I'm on MLB.com because I wanted to just look through some stuff. Breaking news: resilient Braves bounce back to clinch playoff berth in Game 62.
God!
Get the fuck out of here!
Unbelievable! We let them in.
Resilient Braves. They almost laid down in that game.
We could play the Brewers instead of the Padres.
That's
resilient Braves.
The craziest headline I think I've ever seen on MLB.com. I'm sorry, I didn't want to get in your flow, but that's criminal that's on the website.
I was just talking about a really nice moment there because, again, we're an anti-bunting podcast. We always have been. We always will be. Besides, when you're in extra innings, you need 1 run to win. There's already a guy on second base, nobody out. Only time you ever bunt. But the fact that Tyrone Taylor showed bunt and Carlos Mendoza was like, get the fuck out of here. You're not bunting. You're a baseball player. You hit. And that, I felt like kind of was not foreshadowing, maybe a little foreshadowing, but that's just like a signal late in the game because Tyrone Taylor, and this is something that Howie Rose said, I think it was amazing that Howie said this. Howie Rose has watched basically every single game the Mets have ever played in the history of their franchise. He said that Tyrone Taylor, 11 pitch at bat against Spencer Schwellenbach to start to the 8th inning, was one of the most important at-bats in the history of the Mets franchise, or at least one of the best at-bats, one of the most meaningful at-bats in the history of the Mets franchise. And it was like it was a battle, and it was a battle that the Mets had been losing over and over and over again, where it was a foul ball on the color, a foul ball on the slider. He took a color that was really close right in the outside of the plate, another foul ball on the color, another foul ball on the color, another foul ball on the curve. Then finally, it seemed like the first spot that Schwellenbach missed the whole game, left a slider right down the middle on 3-2. And Tyrone Taylor said, "Thank you very much." Bang, clocked it in the gap. And then you know what? Now we're playing baseball. Now things are happening. 3-0, you leave 6 outs left. Alvarez double. Marte single. And then the Francisco Lindor single because Joe Jimenez, they had to get the guy out of the game ASAP. He faced a 3-batter minimum. He gave up 2 runs in like 200 seconds, maybe about that, 3.5 minutes. And then Raisel Iglesias comes in, and you know what? Jose Iglesias, bang.
Took him to church.
Santos, bang. And then Brandon Nimmo, the home run. Like that inning was such pure euphoria. And at the time, it felt like real, genuine euphoria. We didn't know what was going to happen next. But again, shout out Murphy's Bar. We were there in a story with a huge contingent of Mets fans, especially by this time because it was like 3 o'clock. So a lot of people were out of work. A lot of laptops at the bar too. So shout out to all you guys with your laptops at the bar doing your work, keeping your teams active and keeping everything going there. It was pandemonium. People were standing up on chairs. People were screaming. Someone lifted me up in the air. I don't know who it was. Like I was hugging someone. Someone picked me up in the air because I'm a bit of a small person, but it was incredible. And then that inning kind of went by the wayside after that, and we were all happy and we were all excited, but it was ominous because we just know that how bad this bullpen is, and we knew not to get ahead of ourselves as Mets fans, and we wound up kind of getting hit in the ass a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. First, we do have to interject here with a word from our sponsor, Huel. Shout out to Huel. No time for breakfast, but you're starving, running late. We've all been there. Am I right, James? And I know you're always
Mm-hmm.
running a little bit late. Well, but what if a
Always.
delicious, nutritious meal could be ready in seconds? Support for Mets'd Up in Foul Territory is brought to you by Huel, the world's #1 complete nutrition brand with over 400 million meals sold worldwide. Yes, you heard that right. 400 million. Huel is trusted by millions of people looking to fuel their days with convenient, complete nutrition. Try it for yourself with our exclusive offer for you, 15% off with the code FOUL at Huel.com. We love saving time, and with no prep, no cooking, say goodbye to getting hangry and unsatisfying snacks. Just grab a Huel instead. I've really been loving the Black Edition ready to drink from Huel. Not only does it taste fantastic, but it's also got a whopping 35 grams of proteins plus 27 vitamins and minerals all in one bottle. Take the leap and join the community of Hueligans with this exclusive offer of 15% off with the code FOUL at Huel.com. That's 15% off with the code FOUL at Huel.com. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel, nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters. Fuel your best with Huel today. How about that rhyming and how about that ad read? Woo.
It's incredible. Professional. I forgot about
10
ads for a
beers
second
deep.
there. I forgot about ads. I
Yeah,
forgot
no,
about ads. I
listen,
did. Hand up.
this is where I got to reel you in. You're excited. I'm excited.
So excited.
Focused on the bread as always, though. That's how we whirl.
I got a great video here from Diana, the queen of Mets Twitter. After the Mets tied the game 3-3, Luis Angel Acuna stood up on the top rail of the Mets dugout and seemed to be probably making eyes at his brother, looking at his brother, and went like this. For the people on YouTube, shut your mouth, shut your mouth, shut your mouth, making the signal with his hand. So I love this little ribbing by the Mets and the Braves. It's just God, what a day this was.
You talk about the ribbing because after Edwin Diaz came in for the 8th because Phil Maton couldn't get the outs and the Braves.
Well, also some Braves would do
that is
bullshit.
True. Yeah, Eli White hit by a pitch, but he
Swung.
For sure swung. We saw the bat cap on the end of his bat, which is always a swing. So that was a swing. Somehow got to first base.
Travis d'Arnaud on a very defensive 1-2 swing, put his bat head out there, barely made contact with a curveball outside of the zone. Definitely should have missed it. Just dropped it right beyond second base.
Yeah, and it got a rally started. Phil Maton really didn't do anything wrong. He just wasn't great. He didn't get the outs. Edwin Diaz comes into the game. Edwin Diaz was not sharp in the 8th inning. Not at all. It was a bad inning. Of course, all comes together from my favorite Atlanta Brave, Ozzie Albies. Righty.
No.
Well,
you're missing the big play that happened first.
I mean, yeah, but that's the big one.
I know, but I mean, I think the Jarred Kelenic play would have been the big play that everyone obviously always would have remembered if this didn't go right. Because
you know what, you're right. Hand up, missed it. You want to know why? I wanted to black it out of my brain because it was infuriating how bad of a play that was.
Yeah, bottom line, because it leads into later. It leads to the mystique. It leads to the injury.
I mean, they saw it. I don't want to talk about it.
Jarred Kelenic on the 2-0 pitch. I mean, you guys say it, I guess, but like it was crazy because Edwin Diaz just didn't cover first base.
No,
let Jarred Kelenic on base, and he walks Michael Harris, I believe, on 4 pitches right after that.
Wasn't even close.
And then Ozzie Albies on a 3-1 fastball just fucking smoked one off the wall. And my world crashed down around me. I think everybody's did.
I felt such a level of like sorrow that I haven't felt in a really long time, and it was very uncomfortable.
I want you at some point in this edit, I don't know if it's now or if it's later, to put the Sarah Langs, put the win probability chart.
I got you.
I'll
do it right now.
Because I think the roller coaster of how this game went, because the Mets had the 6-run 8th to take the lead. And we're like, I'm not going to say I thought the game was over, but I was like,
I did.
We're pretty fucked if we blow this one. And then for Diaz to come in and let that shit up like that after a horrible misplay, some little league bullshit, not covering first base on a ground ball down the line. Still got Marcell Ozuna at the end of the inning. Stop the damage there, thank God. But it felt as bleak of a moment that the Mets have had all year. And the Mets have had some horrible, bleak moments this season. It really felt that. I was starting to think about Grant Holmes, how we're going to be able to get him in the next game. Because I didn't know what the fuck we had left to do about this.
I think multiple times in that game. So, all right, game 2. Got to get to game 2. Got to win game 2. Like I said that multiple times. And it was just simply because my mental fortitude could not take what was going on in front of me. I could not handle just just accepting that this game was already over at that point was better than being like, I can't believe we're losing in this way. But then thank God for that $30 million man playing shortstop with the bad back, Francisco Lindor, stepping up in the 9th inning, hitting that home run. I mean, for all of you, if
can I say this first?
Go say it before I go.
Shout out Starling Marte.
Shout out
Starling
Starling Marte.
Marte came in this game as a pinch hitter late in the game, and he went 2 for 2, and he scored 2 runs. And
It's
if he
huge.
didn't hit his single before the Francisco Lindor home run, he also got the hit in the big rally in the 8th. We're not talking about any of these things. Starling Marte came in this game, and he got 2 hits.
Good
From
on
bottom
you.
of the order. When Harrison Bader came up twice with men scoring position,
Oh,
and
jeez.
he failed both times.
Yeah.
And Starling Marte walked on the field and said, I got this shit. And again, I've said a lot of bad things about Starling Marte. You've said a lot of bad things about Starling Marte. I think collectively, people listening to this podcast, we've all said bad things about Starling Marte. Starling Marte was tremendously clutch in this game. We have to give a lot of credit to him for sustaining these rallies and setting up Francisco Lindor to be the hero.
You know, it was great. And yeah, Lindor being the hero. I mean, again, that home run was
everything.
I think because Gary's call wasn't over the top off the rip, it didn't really even hit me when the ball went out. I think when it went out, I looked at you almost like, is this real? Like, is this
I think
happening?
everyone was like that.
And then you just started running around the bar. I don't even know where you went. And I stood there, and I think I stood there like this. And shout out, what was the guy sitting next to you's name? I don't think we got his first name. What was his last name?
Munoz.
Shout out Munoz. One, if you're listening to this, if you know who we are, that'd be great. You have amazing videos. I would love to get them. Get in contact with us any possible way. You've got James running around, me screaming, I was pounding the bar. My hand is so sore. My hand is killing me right here. I might have done something. It was great. I was screaming, and Munoz, the legend he is, broke down into tears. Down, sobbing. He was like, I can't believe this is happening.
I put my arm around him in consolation because I was almost like tearing up too. And even Francisco Lindor was tearing up, and he cried after the game. Like, that's how significant of a home run this was to this team. But it was just like, it was truthfully, this was the classic Moneyball moment. Like, how can you not be romantic about baseball? Because for Francisco Lindor to come up in that situation after all this shit this year, after all this bullshit, after the way he started the season, after getting hot and becoming one of the favorites for the MVP, after getting hurt, he was crawling on Sunday. He was crawling after he scored the run. And even in the 8th inning, like, it's underrated about his big hit up the middle in the 8th inning.
Huge.
And then scoring on the sacrifice fly from Mark Vientos. That was not a well-hit ball at all. That was a shallow fly ball that Francisco Lindor scored on. He fucking jetted home like a goddamn fucking, like a NASCAR, but bang, like a Porsche, straight home.
He went
and then to come up in that 9th inning and do that after, again, all this shit. Just being the superstar that was coveted, being the superstar that was billed, that was promised, succeeding in what he was supposed to be, always meant to be, and literally right now is. It was he etched himself in Mets history with that home run. Like, if anybody ever says a bad thing about Francisco Lindor as a baseball player, as a person, as a man, as a father, ever again, I am drawing my sword.
Yes.
There's fisticuffs. If anybody in the world says anything bad about Francisco Lindor ever again, you will have to deal with my wrath. Because I won't let up. I won't let up until you cease. No. I don't know. This was divine.
This was incredible. He is one of the greatest Mets of all time. This is one of the big, again, I think Mookie Wilson hit, obviously, like stuff in the 69 World Series, all that. There's
World
big
Series,
moments. Yeah. But in terms of a non-postseason game, I don't know if you're going to be able to find a bigger home run in Mets history. Honestly, in a lot of Major League Baseball history, bigger home run in the regular season. That's pretty fucking huge. Context, of course, when a team wins the World Series, there might have been one, but like in the moment, that's up there.
I think it was cool that John DeMarisco, who runs all the SNY production, he tweeted after the game just about, partially was about the pride of how much they succeeded in that game and how well SNY's production was, because it was incredible, as they always are. Gary, Keith, and Ron on point as always. All the content they got in celebration was, again, completely incredible. But he said something I didn't really realize at the time, but it's 100% true, that this is the closest we're ever going to get to an SNY pro season broadcast. Because this was, in a way, it wasn't because there was a second game, but there was so much in this game. These teams wanted this game so fucking bad. You can feel it now, because we're going to start a transition and talking about a preview of the wildcard series, but the Braves had to fucking burn everything they had in this game.
Major.
They had to use every single resource they needed to reach the postseason. And the fact that the Mets were able to find a way to win this game, and still, even after the Lindor home run, still wasn't that easy. And with the SL to get through the 9th inning, Elo White got a single, stole second base. He had to get 2 outs with a man on second in a 1-run game at 40 pitches.
Here's the thing, what I loved about Edwin, and it was that, one, like, it was annoying that when he gave up the run, hey, foolish baseball, we caught you. He didn't pitch 2 innings on Sunday. He threw a lot of pitches. You're right. Way too many. But wasn't 2 innings.
That was on him.
Deleted the tweet. Foolish was off today. I love my guy, Bailey. But that was off. Braves fan.
Recurring guest of the Mets'd podcast.
Recurring guest. Botched that one. But what I loved about Edwin was Carlos Mendoza said after the inning in the 8th where he blew the game. He blew the game completely. He went back in. He apparently called a group meeting, apologized to everybody, said that I should have covered first base. But if we get another shot, I got this. Francisco Lindor hit the home run.
He
He ran.
demanded it.
Yeah, he ran to Mendoza and said, I'm pitching in this game. Mendoza, okay, yeah, I'm not fighting you on this. You're pitching. And to Edwin's credit, I think one, mentally, needed that. Needed to come back out, needed to finish that game. Two, I think for the fan base, needed to win that game, needed to come out, needed to finish it. I was like, Edwin Diaz might not be on this team next year if this is how the season ends.
Might not be anyway, but it was because that eighth inning was so. Again, I don't think he pitched well because he gave that massive
No.
smoke double to Albies, but
Terrible.
it was more chaotic because he also got the ground ball before that Giovanni Urshela hit, and he didn't even look at second base, and he threw the biggest lollipop I've ever seen to first at Pete, and it was just like, oh my god, he just feels weird. And then Merrifield immediately steals second base after he pinch runs for Kelenic, and it was just. It was shocking to watch that ground ball because for him not being a first base, you're like, where is he? And he's had this problem before. If you don't remember this last couple years, it's a couple times he hasn't covered first base. That's something to worry about. And then it just looked like he totally lost it because he walked Michael Harris on 4 non-competitive pitches to get to first and load the bases for Ozzy Albies, who was having an incredible game. Hats off to Ozzy Albies. So he's a perennial star. That I know you hate him, Mark, but there was a tweet in the Mets community that was like, every other team in the league can hit Spencer Schwellenbach. Everybody else knows they get Ozzy Albies. What are we doing wrong? I was like, dude, Spencer Schwellenbach's one of the best rookies in baseball. He's got 3.4 ERA and like almost 30% striker. Ozzy Albies is a perennial all-star. Like these are actually just good baseball players. Like it's not, oh my god, this is the Mets being the Mets. It's just it all just came together. Like this was a win that was emblematic.
There it is.
Of this entire Mets season, like every time they were down, and they went down hard multiple times in this game, they just always found a way. And at the end of the day, it all came back to their best player, their leader, their captain, their spiritual ambassador, Francisco Lindor. And he just did it because he's one of the best players in baseball. He has been, he will be, and we're lucky to have him on this team. And he's underpaid and he's underappreciated still, and he's just simply the best.
Simply the best.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean he's so good. Where the fuck would we be without Francisco Lindor? My God,
nowhere. We'd be on our couches. I mean, we're gonna be on our couch right after this podcast, but like in general, this team would be in Cancun.
This team is so awesome, and you know what I love too? Mets win. I love that. Fantastic, great, awesome. I love seeing all these little videos and pictures, everything after the celebration too. Because they didn't really get to celebrate in 2022, and job's not done. Job's not finished. Not at all.
Job's not finished.
But I think, again, there is something cathartic about just being able to be like, fuck, we did it. Okay, let's have our fun, get on the plane, business starts again on the plane. Like seeing the videos of Pete in the clubhouse, just and smoking a cigar like a doof, like the doofball he is. Or Francisco Alvarez hugging Steve Cohen and Luis Severino saying, we got a game tomorrow, and he's chugging water. Like all these things are so awesome. And this is what makes this Mets team so fucking likable, is that these guys got the job done. They had a lot of fun doing it, which normally, fuck that, winning is fun. But this is exactly why. Winning is fun. Look how much fun you have when you win. This was incredible. I don't even think I'm making any sense. It's just I'm so excited.
I don't think so either. Shout out to guy Josh sending us an amazing selfie of Francisco Lindor. That was one of the most incredible pictures I've ever received in my life. Shout out to our guy Mike Janella getting the free ticket to that game and having his first beer of the baseball game, I think he said in 6 years, and just going crazy in the stands. But Francisco Lindor was like, he was fucking crying, dude. Like this was an emotional win for this entire franchise. Like getting this monkey off their back in Atlanta was significant. And again, we allowed the Atlanta Braves into the playoffs because we're a nice team. After this, we let them get in. We're like, yeah, take the Padres. We'll get the Brewers. No big deal. We'll take the Brewers. You guys got the Padres. Easy peasy. It was, this whole thing was just beautiful, like that. And we could feel it too, like hanging out at that bar after the first game, during the second game. It was such a great environment. So good. What an incredible vibe. We all got to relax.
Made some friends.
Talking, mingling, chit-chatting. We're just like going around. How you doing? And also one of the coolest things ever, I know both of our dads are going to appreciate this. Mark and I immediately after this game, we took turns, both like went outside and called our dad and just talked to our dads about the game. When I specifically walked outside and called my dad after the game, there were like 6 other dudes there, like in their 20s and 30s, who were also all on the phone. And I was like, okay, I know who these guys talking to. And I went to one asked her, I go, yo, when you walked out before, like, who were you talking to? He's like, I had to call my dad. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, me too. No shit. But like, it was that kind of game. Like it was, I don't know. Like it was incredible. Like that was truthful. And no bias. I'm sure a lot of objective baseball fans just were able to sit down and watch this game too. People who are fans of the Tigers and the Angels and
genuinely,
the Dodgers.
Baseball game of the year. It was incredible.
Truthfully, like the ups and downs of this game. Shout out Sarah Langs, we of the year, as she called it. It was it was fucking crazy. I couldn't believe the things were happening as they were happening, and I'm just happy they happened.
You know how like they talk about like the Matt Holliday game 163, like that's a legendary game.
Longoria.
Yeah, Longor. This is gonna be talked about as one of those
Totally.
legendary games, and thank fucking God we're on the right side of it. Awesome,
Oh my
so
god.
sick. Now I do want to just bring up a couple little things as well, just some comments that
Before
happened.
we bring them up, should probably hit another ad.
Oh yeah, let's hit another ad. You're right. All right. Before we get going into the Brewers preview, just a couple little things that I noticed on Twitter that I bookmarked that I think was super funny. One, Braves broadcast, miserable as always.
Oh,
So great to
the
hear them
best.
just be down in the dumps. There was a point in the sixth inning when they were winning 3-0, bottom of the sixth, and they're starting to talk about flight discussions. Where are we going to fly to? What are the flight patterns? If we win today, we win both games, we're going to San Diego. If we do this, we do that. They're like, we'll get in at 10:30. The game's at 8:30 Pacific. That's going to be 5:30 Standard Time. And I was like, I can't even believe you'd have the audacity to talk about where
The
you're
balls.
going before the game is even over. That's so crazy. Braves fans, you have it so great. I feel so bad for you guys. Oh, what a tough season you had. Go fuck yourself. Second thing I want to talk about, Ron, Gary, Keith signing off for the final time of 2024. Always amazing. Those guys are the best in the business. There are three uncles that we'll never, ever, well, we've met, but most people will never get the chance to meet. And they talk about how
Sick
year
brag.
after year, 17 years in a row that these guys have done it together. It's the greatest workplace they've ever existed. And Gary goes, I cherish you guys. Like that's so great. How wholesome that was for what has been a very wholesome Mets season. Another one, very wholesome. Jose Iglesias reflecting on his season with old Moonface, saying they gave me the opportunity. I take it with two hands and never let it go. This is my home. Don't you ever let him fucking leave. I don't want this guy to ever. He's going nowhere.
We'll see. I also got a great one from Tacoma here about Severino and his process because he didn't know if he was going to be pitching after this game or tomorrow, or I guess today when you guys are listening to this. Luis Severino began getting ready in the fifth inning of game one today to pitch game two in case he was needed. He spent time in the hot tub, stretched, went to the gym to get warm, and stopped when the Mets went ahead in the eighth and then started scrambling to warm up again when they fell behind later that inning. It was crazy, Severino said. Of course, none of this will affect Severino for game one of the wild card series. He's prepared to go as deep as necessary against the Brewers. I did all my stretching, so I think I'm really loose. Hopefully that's good enough for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, that was great. Pete, a couple funny comments as well, talking about clinching a playoff spot. We've answered the bell and we've earned the right to play in the postseason. This is when we have a great opportunity in front of us. And then on his experience being able to celebrate in the clubhouse, he said, this is incredible. This is way more than I imagined, which I wouldn't want it any other way. So articulate, Pete Alonso. He's the best.
I'll say this too. Fucking shout out Joey Lucchesi.
Shout out Joey.
Ready on a moment's notice. Our boy Joey Lucchesi just showing up for game two of this series, pitching damn well. Damn fucking well, Joey
As
Lucchesi.
he always does.
Almost killed the Braves on his own. Went out there through 111 pitches, gave up one run over 6 innings. That was it. It's easy peasy.
Shout out Huascar Brazoban, pitched twice today. Shout out
And
Adam
Adam
Ottavino,
Ottavino.
twice today. Like, Warriors, who would have known? We've talked about all year, we need to get something useful out of these guys. They were useful. They kept the game close, too, when Tyler McGill came out. Really awesome job, top to bottom, by this entire New York Mets team, by this entire organization. We told you when we left the Mets and we could actually start talking about things. David Stearns is that guy. We trust in the process. They're going to bring in these good players. This is a stepping stone in what should be the future for a very successful franchise. And we're playing with house money now. We're ready to go. We're going into Milwaukee. We're in the postseason. And we have a chance to make some noise. This team is hot. This team is hungry. And the vibes are absolutely immaculate with Luis Severino going in game one in Milwaukee tonight when you guys are listening to this, or maybe tomorrow night if it comes out late Monday night. I mean,
this afternoon.
Yeah, that's true. It is this afternoon. It's going to be 5:30, which, I mean, I can't wait. I didn't sleep last night. I went to bed at 4 a.m. I can't imagine I'm going to sleep well tonight.
No, definitely not. And the Brewers have not named any pitchers that are going to be pitching the series after Freddie Peralta in game one. Freddie Peralta is quite a good starting pitcher. He's not, unbeatable.
No.
He's not, I don't know. He's not Zach Wheeler.
Freddie Peralta hasn't gone 6 innings since the end of August, and he hasn't gone 7 innings since the end of July. Freddie Peralta is a very good pitcher. His stuff is disgusting. We know he has the ability to just shut us down. He shut us down opening day. We saw that very clearly. He's a damn good pitcher. But he's a guy that doesn't always give length, and we know the Brewers will be quick to go to the bullpen. We know that they will have no problem pulling the plug early on Freddie Peralta, just like we did. Well, we didn't do it in game one, just like we did early in games that have been successful this year against aces that we faced, Dylan Cease, Zach Wheeler, other guys. You got to get on them early. You got to jump on this guy early, make him get to the bullpen, make this game longer than it needs to be.
Yeah, and the expectations that the Brewers are probably going to see what happens in game one before what they do with game two. But after game one, it's likely that's Aaron Savali in game two. Aaron Savali, similar to Frankie Montas, arrived with the Milwaukee Brewers and has righted his season in a more dramatic way than Montas has. Savali's a kitchen sink guy. He has a lot of pitches. He's a couple different fastballs. He's a couple different breaking balls. He's going to move the ball around the zone, do a lot of different things. But it's kind of Savali, Montas, Tobias Myers. We saw Montas, Tobias Myers last weekend. So bizarre we're playing this team again right now.
Crazy.
After playing them in March and then
Weird
5
stadium.
months, yeah, and then doing this shit again. And also, it's going to be daytime. Going to be sun, a lot of sun
Yeah.
again. So there's going to probably be a mix and match of the last two games, however, if necessary, between Savali, Montas, and Tobias Myers. But we're fucking here. We're a live wire. Like, just try the fuck with us. JD Martinez is hitting the ball again. We have
Yeah.
a deep core of position players. Like, Tyrone Taylor is blazing fucking hot.
Good fucking ball
Like,
player.
Francisco Lindor is everything you ever could have imagined.
Alvarez swinging the bat really well.
I'm curious right now of a betting line. Talk a little bit, but I'm going to see what the line is for the series.
Yeah, I know Carlos Mendoza, when he gave his speech after the game, also mentioned about just like the focus of this team, how focused they were, how they didn't let anything get in their way. They had issues early, they had ups and downs, but they fought back. And he said, "I told you guys when we signed JD Martinez in spring training, this team means business." And you heard in his press conference how JD Martinez says, "I'm addicted to the postseason. That's all I want to do. I wouldn't be here if I didn't think we could make the postseason." He said, "Nobody believed in us. Nobody thought we could do it. Here we are in the postseason. Let's fucking go Mets."
All right, here's some interesting things coming from betting lines here. The Mets, in terms of the lines, are the most likely wild card to advance. Most likely underdog wild card to advance.
Okay, I mean, well, that's of including the American League as well.
Yes. So the Brewers
Interesting.
are minus 135 to advance series. The Mets are plus 115. So, and then the Padres minus 175, Braves plus 150. And then both the American Leagues are minus 170. The other team plus 150.
Okay, I mean, I think that checks. I think that makes
I
sense.
think it checks too, but I think that also says a lot about where the Mets are compared to the Brewers. I'm trying to like kind of preview the series
Yes.
and bring it all together because I think that us and the Brewers, I don't think we're overmatched. I know we've looked like dog shit against the Brewers this
Bad.
entire season, again, including March and September, but I don't think that this is an unbeatable team by any stretch. I think the one area where the Brewers really, really severely beat the Mets is bullpen.
Easily.
And I think that's something that we have to be worried about. That's why it's very important to get these starting pitchers. But Devin Williams is back at closer, and he's electric. We just saw Trevor McGill last weekend. He's awesome. Jared Koning's great. Aaron Ashby's turned to a really good middle reliever. Yoel Payamps is awesome. Hobie Milner's a funky little lefty. DL Hall's going to be a strange kind of, I don't know what his role is going to be. I don't know if he's going to get like 3 outs or 6 outs or 9 outs, depending what they need him for. And Nick Mears also has crazy stuff, but they have 6 deep in this bullpen of guys that are probably better than our second best reliever, third best
Oh,
reliever.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
remember I was like, we're talking about who comes in for Diaz. I'm like, and we were like, who?
I don't even
I
know.
actually have no clue who could possibly pitch the ninth. Like, you go in Budo and you're going to just put it on the rookie shoulders like that. That'd be crazy.
I think Budo's going to be a main guy on Tuesday because I think it's going to be basically Budo and Stanek and Danny Young are the only relievers after Luis Severino.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not Brazovan. We also have to see what the postseason roster looks like.
Not official, yeah.
It's not official yet. We are expecting, because you usually don't carry as many pitchers in the wild card series as you would during the regular season. And of course, the roster goes back down to 26. So automatically 2 guys are going to be gone. So Joey Lucchesi is going to be gone. We also probably think it's going to be Tyler McGill just because.
But also probably Brazovan and Alavino. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
all of those guys are probably not going to pitch.
So I guess you could move some of them. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what David Stearns does with this 26-man roster for this postseason.
What drunks David Stearns does with this roster?
Brett Beatty was in Milwaukee.
He was.
Or, I mean, in Atlanta. So he's probably
Yeah.
going to be in Milwaukee, which is kind of interesting.
It's interesting. I'm happy. I'm grateful we're not the Braves. I'm not going to say the Braves back themselves in the corner, but the Braves in these last couple of games, in their last 5 games over 4 days, burned every one of their starting pitchers. Chris Sale's a little baby, and he got hurt when the lights were the brightest, and he couldn't show up. And then they pitched Reynaldo Lopez in relief on 3 days rest to get through this game. So they're going to literally call some up from AAA to start a playoff game. So shout out to MLB for putting them in that situation.
Yeah,
but yeah. We're lucky that we actually have Luis Severino for game 1, that we're going to have Sean Manaea for game 2, that we're going to have David Peterson for game 3, with Jose Quintana probably being available starting on Wednesday. So we have that, but it's going to be a challenge to see who's going to be pitching in this bullpen. Like, Brian Stanek's going to have to get important outs to the Mets want to advance in the playoffs. Jose Boo's going to have to get important outs to the Mets want to advance in the playoffs. Past those 2 guys, again, Danny Young and then probably Reed Garrett redemption against this team. But those are because Edwin Diaz is not pitching on Tuesday. He's not.
Can't.
He
but
threw almost 70 pitches in the last 2 days. He's just not going to. So then it becomes a weird dance of the rest of these guys. Today I had these 30 thoughts where I was like, damn, where's Brooks Raley?
I
I wish
know.
we had Brooks Raley right now.
Smith.
And like, I almost wish a couple of these guys had some more just like experience from the season. Like I wish Tyler Zuber did something where we could like be like, all right, I trust Tyler Zuber to be on this roster. I like, oh god, Alex Young down there too. He was in the bullpen
Now,
today.
also don't discount that Quintana or Peterson will probably be
Well,
used a
I
little
just
bit.
said that. Yeah,
Oh,
one of
okay,
them.
my bad. I
I
spaced.
think likely Quintana. I think Quintana's starting on Wednesday will be available.
Okay.
He pitched Saturday.
Yes.
And again, if he pitches 2 innings. Also, I don't know if Jose Quintana lends himself to being a good reliever. Do you think? I don't know.
I have no clue. We saw David Peterson pitch in relief like twice, and it was confusing and scary. So I don't know.
The other thing that's concerned with this Brewers series is a big concern, and we saw this much more in March than we did last weekend because they were taking their foot off the gas. This team's going to fucking run on us.
Yes.
They are going to run at will. Bryce Terang, every single time he's on first base, you have to assume he's getting a second because he's just that kind of guy. Same with Churio, same with Gary Mitchell, same mostly Adames, Sal Frelick, sometimes Joey Ortiz. Blake Perkins is a burner whenever he gets in the lineup. Like, they're going to push the envelope. They're going to do this. So it's going to be a lot of Francisco Alvarez. I don't think Luis Torrens is going to get in, even though he's a lot better at throwing out base runners, but I just don't think it's worth losing the bat in a short series like this. It's going to be this is a series that's going to be played much more within the lines. I think a lot of other playoff series. It's good. These are two teams that put the ball in play a lot. Two teams that don't strike out very much, but two teams that also have good power, but not the best power. Right?
Yeah,
that's fair. And a lot of pitching change. This is going to be a fight. It's going to be a war. We're still in war. We're still at war.
Still in war.
Give the wife and kids, the husband a kiss again.
Yeah,
we're going back to battle tomorrow. We're going right in.
Yeah, it's gonna be a longer battle than it was today. Today was a marathon. Tomorrow is a little bit longer. It's gonna be a couple days long, maybe even 3 if it goes that long.
Could you imagine the guys are on the plane right now?
If they're not tearing seats like it's 86, I don't know what they're gonna be doing. Honestly, I want them all to like take naps. I want Francisco Lindor to get a massage. I hope they have a bed just for him. They got rid of some of the seats, put a bed. He can lay down. He can relax. Whatever it is. Lots of water too. Lots of water. Little Pedialyte, little electrolytes.
Shout out Luis Severino drinking water during the celebration today.
Yes.
Everyone else drinking champagne and beer. He was just chugging smart water.
Yeah, he was a dog. He's locked in. That's what I like to see. The guys are thinking about the big picture here. Work's not done. Pete Alonso, by the way,
job's not finished.
Pumpkins are playoffs. Had a gourd. He apparently brought a gourd with him to the game, which I don't even know how that's possible. Where did he get one? They got into Atlanta last night, and he had a gourd ready for a 1 p.m. game today. Pumpkins are October. Pumpkins are playoffs to steal the Tigers fans' line.
Pumpkins are playoffs.
Hopefully Pete Alonso can give us some big home runs here. He's so due. It's crazy how due Pete Alonso is.
It's also just such a moment right now for Pete where you got to do this, dude. Like, he wasn't that good of the last few weeks. Like, this is kind of it. And he really showed up in that Padres series a few years ago. So I'm confident in Pete, especially in Lindor as well. But it's just it's literally now or never for Pete Alonso.
Literally.
As a Met. It's literally now or never.
Yep. And I can't wait to watch. I'm so excited. We're in the fucking playoffs. I'm so excited. This is great.
We're going to send you guys out here with, of course, the one, the only, the inevitable, Frankie Peppers, who, shout out Frankie. He brought bolognese to work.
Really turned the whole season around, Frankie.
I think that Frankie was an instrumental part of not just his podcast success this year, but the Mets' success this year. He did everything for his Mets in the second half, and here he is, the one and only Frankie Peppers.
Gentlemen, it's Frankie Peppers. How you doing? I'm doing pretty well. You know, I would have to think everybody here is doing pretty well. I was at work listening to the first game, and I was asked to calm down after Nimmo hit the home run to the chop house, and well, let's just say, that bottom of the eighth calmed me down a little bit. It was a little bit despondent, I think the word is. But when Lindor hit that bomb, our MVP, when Lindor hit that bomb in the top of the ninth, I needed to go outside and let loose a little bit. What a game. What an all-time classic game that they are going to show on SNY during rain delays for the next 25 years. Now we're on to Milwaukee. It's time. Let's win the whole damn thing. I appreciate you, boys. Let's go, Mets. Give me some food suggestions. I'm ready for it. Thanks, boys.
Okay, Frankie, is always a pleasure. Do we take a shot personally at Milwaukee? We go a cheese curd. Is that a thing that he can even do? Can he get cheese curds? How do you even make those?
We're in New York. It's Italian.
Keeping it Italian.
Yeah, my suggestion is gonna be just a pot of sauce and meatballs.
Is chicken franchise Italian, or is that just what Italian restaurants serve?
Chicken franchise is Italian, but it's mostly what Italian restaurants serve. Bad Italian restaurants, I would say. I'm not a chicken franchise guy.
You don't love lemon butter chicken? That's amazing.
You like the egg? You're not an egg man.
Yeah, but it tastes delicious. Where's the egg? In the sauce?
chicken franchise was always the dish that the Italian restaurants serve.
Catered,
That's
yeah.
like, okay, yeah, it's
But
chicken
it's
franchise.
great. I love lemon chicken. You put lemon on
Maybe
chicken, I'll eat the shit out of
maybe
that.
chicken franchise doesn't have egg. I might be talking on my ass. My dad's gonna be kicking his desk listening to me
Yeah, your
talk.
dad's gonna be upset.
I feel like it does. I'm looking up the recipe right
I
now.
don't feel.
Four,
Listen,
4 large eggs, nailed it, bang!
bang.
I knew it.
But yeah,
Knew
for
it.
what? For the breading of the chicken, or are they putting that in the
Maybe,
sauce?
maybe,
I think that
maybe,
might be for the breading. All right. Regardless,
maybe.
James is saying sauce. I'm gonna keep it simple. Make a nice. You know what? Make a good sandwich. Make a nice deli sandwich. That's a New York thing.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, get some sopressat, get a little salami, get a little gabagool. I think make a nice sandwich. Throw some peppers on, roasted peppers.
We were right by South Chris and Charlie's today. I saw some people eating it when I was on my way. Some nice construction workers.
Oh yeah, it's a great. Shout out
Salt
to
of the earth.
Storia. Shout out to Storia. Shout
Story's
out
the
Murphy's
best.
Bar. Shout out Henry.
Henry, we forgot about Henry.
Shout out
Oh my God,
Henry.
Henry saved the game.
Henry saved the game. He has a Mets podcast as well. I've never listened
Nephews.
to it, but you can shout it out. Nephew's podcast. You guys can give it a listen. Henry deserves it. He replied to my tweet today, this morning at 11 o'clock, where I'm like, hey, where are we watching the game? He's like, come to Murphy's Bar. That's why we ended up doing it. Had a great time. In the 7th inning, he walked outside. He's like, I got to change. I mean, he was chain smoking cigarettes. He was like, I'm just going to go hang out outside, and we're going to change up the vibes. Immediately, the Mets score 6 runs. He comes running in, gives us a thing. We're like, get the fuck back outside. Get outside. Get outside.
He's like, I got it.
They give up the runs. He comes back into the bar, screams, it's 1 fucking run. We ain't done yet. Let's fucking go. Bang. Mets win the game. Henry's a legend. Shout out Henry and the Nephews pod.
Shout out Henry. Shout out the Nephews pod. Shout out Murphy's Astoria. Shout out the fucking Mets. Shout out Francisco Lindor. Shout out Frankie Peppers. Shout out everybody.
Shout out David Stearns. Shout out
David Stearns.
Mendoza.
I fucking love David Stearns. Mendoza, amazing. Everything. Just every single thing. Alvarez, Tyrone Taylor, Mark Vientos didn't have the best game, but he still did enough to win. Like Pete Alonso, everybody. This was a team effort. Rising tide lifts all boats. It is a team, and we're ready to go take some heads in Milwaukee.
Let's go end the Brewers season, guys. Let's do it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'm sure the next couple are going to be a little bit shorter again because it's just going to be, maybe
one game.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We just did one game and it was 47 minutes long.
2 games.
We talked about the second game for 14 seconds. I mean, might be the longest we've talked about the second game. Regardless, just know after every single game in the postseason, we're going to be probably doing an episode, at least in the wild card series.
At least every single weekday game.
Yeah, at least every single weekday game. Weekends, we might be getting wild. We'll see. We'll have to get there. We won't know until we find out. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel so you can see the video version of this. And if you are listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
I'm Draft Nick Mark with a C. Let's fucking go, Mets. Let's end the Brewers season. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow night.
Let's fucking go, Mets. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.